Boom.
Hey,
We are
what's up,
live.
guys? Welcome to Randy Starts a Side Hustle, episode number 12, part 2, with my good friend, Mr. Karl Smith. Thank you, Karl, for coming on the show again.
Hey,
You're the
appreciate you for having me on, man.
Yeah, man, I'm
Appreciate you for
excited.
having
I'm
me on.
excited. We're going to go over the steps that Karl started going over with us last time on the first episode. So you guys are going to have to go back and watch episode number 1, part 1, and it's episode, I think, number 9. But you'll see it there if you go to YouTube. You'll see the picture with Karl and I. He's gonna recap steps 1 and 2 real quick. But man, thanks for coming on the show. How you been?
Thank you, man. I've been good. Actually, just recovered from a little sickness. Ended up taking a trip. I think the week after, ended up going to Mexico. Was in Mexico for a week. Got sick in Mexico that week. Came back.
It's happened to me.
Yeah, it's nuts. So came back. Took a week, had to recover, and we're back in business, man.
Cool,
like I was
man.
telling Nelson, the grind don't stop.
That's right.
That's right.
Good
That's
stuff,
right.
man.
Happy to be here, though, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
I'm excited.
it.
I'm
Thanks.
pumped up. I last time we could have kept talking for another hour and a half, 2 hours. It was
100%, man.
It was
100%.
good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when you
stuff.
actually dive deeper into each one of those modules or steps in the blueprint that I was sharing, I mean, I could spend 4 or 5 hours just on any one of those like topics,
Absolutely.
you know. And that's what happens when you
good stuff.
basically take a deep dive into really like figuring out what do you got to do to grow a business, to start a side hustle, you know, make it
Yeah,
happen.
that's why I wanted you to come on so we can not. Yeah, I know last time we were pressed for time. They had some issues here and we had to cut it short, but
Yeah.
we ain't got no rush today. We got time.
All right, dope. I mean, I have another appointment right after, so we'll get into this. We'll knock it out in an hour.
Yeah,
right?
it'll
We
be good.
have an hour?
Yeah.
We got an hour? All right, cool.
Good.
So we'll knock out these steps. I'm going to share some other tips on what's going to make the biggest difference for people that are really looking to take charge of 2024. Like for people that really want to make a big difference, there's a couple key tips that people really need to adopt, and some of it has to deal with like skill sets that are tangible. A lot of it has to do with like mindset. So we'll dive into that right there.
Absolutely.
And yeah, man, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about in the time frame we're given.
Absolutely. It's going to be good. It's good. Remember, let's recap 1 and 2 real quick.
All right, let's dive right into it.
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. So for those of you guys that are just tuning in, my name's Karl Smith, aka K Smith Inspires. I'm the founder of Next Level Success. And what we do at Next Level Success is empower entrepreneurs, business and sales professionals with the knowledge, the tools, the resources they need to take their businesses to the next level and create even more success. For the last 10 plus years, my team and I, we've been putting on live training events, coaching programs, training programs to help people improve in the areas of leadership development, business growth strategies, and financial education. We've had the opportunity to work with small business owners, home business owners, and a few major corporations doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And somehow we've basically given them all the strategies they needed to consistently improve sales, revenue, profits. So I tell people if we can help them, chances are we could probably help you too. Okay. And our whole mission and the reason why we're all here is just to help empower the next generation of business leaders worldwide and to help them attain results they never thought possible.
Amen.
Amen. So for those of you guys that are just tuning in, last time I messed the number up, but here I want to give you guys a free gift. For those of you guys that are looking to elevate your business skills, for those of you guys that want to take on greater leadership roles with the companies and projects you're working on, for those of you guys that want to start a side hustle, grow from 0 to 7 figures within 12 to 24 months, I got tons of free resources for you. We got ebooks. I have some events that you guys can plug into. We have conference calls, coaching sessions that you can claim for free. All you have to do is make sure you tune in at the phone number 305-809-8512. Again, that's 305-809-8512. Text me. All right. That number goes directly to me. Just text the word success. And after you text the word success, it's going to give you a little link. Just leave me your name and your email address. You'll get that all deposited into your inbox. And then write the name Randy on there, okay? Because we actually have an upcoming Success Talks event. We throw on monthly networking events and business workshops. We have entrepreneurs all over South Florida that come and attend these things. We host special guest speakers. We do trainings. We have a panel. We do Q&A. We help solve your problems right there on the spot. You get a chance to showcase your business. The tickets for that cost $35. But if you text me Randy or Randy Starts a Side Hustle, we're to make sure you guys get tickets for free to the next one. Just make sure you guys go ahead and tune in. All right. That's for your peeps right there.
That's awesome. You guys got to check this guy out. Make sure you check it out. You guys will not regret it. I've watched Karl grow from when he was a young guy in the entrepreneurial business, and he blown it up when the business that we were in before. He's blown up every business he's been involved in. I've been watching him grow. It's next level. That's why he called this company Next Level.
That's right. Next level success. Live your vision. Let's tune in.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, man. Last time we were on the conversation with you guys. First of all, if you guys didn't watch that last track, make sure you guys go back, find Karl Smith Part 1, K. Smith Inspires Part 1, whatever it is, and listen to that first track. You'll hear a little bit about my story. We get deep into my story and how I became what it is, everything that I became here today. We talked about my journey in the process. We talked about what it's really going to take, no fluff, for you to actually become the leader in your field. Okay, so listen to that first track. This is part 2 now. So I'm going to basically give you guys a 7-step blueprint on what it's going to take to be able to launch, build, and grow a successful company. And me, I've had the opportunity to do this now for, it's about 18 years. So it's just crazy. I'm dating myself right there. But 18 years of being in the game, trial, failure, learning from mentors, experts, coaches, taking business from start, from zero, from absolutely nothing, some companies in debt, and helping to turn them around, helping to launch them, grow the people within the businesses, and implement strategies that were really able to just help these companies create breakthroughs, okay? So I got a 7-step blueprint that we've used, and we're gonna get into it. So last time we spoke, I said, part 1 in the first step out of the 7-step blueprint, we call it the building blocks, was you gotta have what we call a purpose. Everything starts with a purpose, and another word for purpose, we call it being a vision.
Dream.
You got to have a dream, right? Most people are afraid
write
to
it
dream.
Down.
Most people don't write their goals down.
Yeah, man.
Most people don't know what they want. Yep. And that's the reason that they never get it, right? If you take a look at it, statistically, 97% of the population ends up being financially frustrated. They're living and working in places that they don't like the majority of the time. Most of them are living paycheck to paycheck. 30% of people that make over 6 figures live paycheck to paycheck, and then most end up retiring with absolutely nothing. 80% of people that retire in America retire with less than 100 grand to their name. 50% retire with basically almost nothing.
Making 60% of what they were making when they were working.
Absolutely, right? And so you end up retiring, end up dependent on your family, friends, federal government, your old boss, and all that stuff. And most people don't know how to live a life like the 3%. Where they own their time, right? They have an opportunity to have and make decisions based on what they want, based on what's best for their family. They get to spend their time doing what they want with who they want. They get to build projects that they're excited about. And that's what we're all about. And the only difference between being a part of the 97% and the 3% is going to be education. Okay, it's going to be, and I'm not talking about the traditional education, right? I'm talking about self-education. My mentor used to always teach me that traditional education will get you a job, right? It'll help you make a living, but self-education will make you a fortune.
That's right.
And for people that want to learn to break out of the rat race, you have to educate yourself. Like, what is it that the top 3% of people are doing to be able to get out of the rat race, to be able to live on their own means, by their own means?
Make themselves uncomfortable.
Right. You got to make yourself uncomfortable. Yeah. That's one of the qualities, right? And we'll talk about that.
Resilience.
You got to have resilience, but it all starts with a dream. That's right.
That's how we got KFC, man. Colonel Sanders got his first Social Security check. Mm-hmm. And when he saw that check, he says, I can't live with this.
Yeah, he's like, I can't do that. What is that?
And that's how we got KFC, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You got to have a dream.
You got to have a dream, man. You got to have a dream. And in the Bible, I'm not professional.
Do it. I love when you talk about the Bible.
But in the Bible, right, it talks and it says, without a dream, without a vision, the people will perish. That's right. And so people are like, well, I'm building a company and I don't know how I'm going to get these resources. I'm building a company and I have a team and nobody wants to listen to me. I'm building a company and I can't afford to spend money on new staff members. I'm building a company and I can't get investors to. You know what the problem is? The biggest issue right there for most people, they don't have a vision. You don't have a vision that you can clearly articulate. And how you know you can't articulate it is because if you go to the top 3%, the top 1% of people that are doing and succeeding, whatever it is that you want to do and succeed with, if you ask them, okay, what are your goals for 2024? They'll tell you, bam, bam, bam. 1, 2, 3. Those are my top 3 priorities, my top 3 projects. This is what we're committed to. If you go to everybody else, you ask, what are your top 3 goals for the year? They're like, and it's like, oh, there it goes. Well, I think I want this. I think I want that. Wait, no. I kind of want this. And, oh, no, I think I kind of want to make money. Okay, good. How much money? I want to make more money. Okay, cool. Here's $1. No, that's not enough. All right, how much? $100,000. $100,000? No, 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 $1 million. $1 million? Well, I mean, if I could, sky's the limit, $10 million. I don't know. Oh, wait, is that real? Maybe it's not realistic. Most people, they have no idea what they want. They haven't written it down. So you got to get clear on it. And once you get clear and you understand what you want and how you're actually going to create a plan to actually go get it, now all of a sudden you got skin in the game. Now all of a sudden you're committed. Now all of a sudden you got a vision to share with people, and everything that you're going to need from resources, from finances, from people in your team will show up with other people that just align with that vision. So
and it can't be about the money.
Yeah.
That can't be the goal. The goal is, what are you going to do with the money?
Yep.
Those are the goals. What are you going to do with the money? You're going to retire your wife. You're going to quit your job and work your business full time. How, you got to set those goals. How long before you get it done? I'm going to do it in the next 5 years. I'm going to retire my wife in 3 years, in 2 years. It's all got to be written down. You got to map it all out.
You got to map it out, right? And most people never get what they want in life because they don't make a dedicated list. Like, this is what I want. These are all the things, and this is the most important. And this is the top 3, and this is the top 1.
Yeah, some people put pictures up on a board. They put pictures up on their vision board, and those are their dreams. Those are their goals. They look at them. I got a vision board in my closet, Carl, and I can go to it, man. The other day I was looking at it, I was like, damn, but I got this ching ching, and you ching ching, and it just happens when you have it there and you're looking at it.
Yep, you're looking at it. And why is it that it all of a sudden occurs? Even when you didn't realize that it happens, but all of a sudden it just happens, right? People don't realize that by having the vision board up, you're burying this idea, this thought, this goal into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind will start chasing it. It starts looking for, oh, wait, there's a connection. There's an opportunity. There's a resource. Here's a way that we can get this to happen.
That's right.
Where you don't see those things if it's not constantly in front of your face.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good. So write down what you want. That's number 1, right? Number 2, second thing, we talked about creating a personal brand story, right? So what's a personal brand story? Everyone has it. You have to use this to get connected with your people. Okay. If you have a business and all of a sudden you're getting a customer, congratulations. Most businesses actually fail because they fail to have systems to get consistent customers. But the other thing you have to realize is that it costs 10 times more money. It'll take 10 times more energy, 10 times the amount of effort to go and chase another customer as opposed to getting repeat business. So I tell people, you have to learn to turn a customer into a community member. You got to get people to become raving fans of your brand. And if you take a look at the largest companies in the world, Apple, Starbucks, McDonald's, Disney, all of them have huge communities of people that are fans of those brands. Yeah. And what you have at the very core of each one of those brands is a personal brand story. And when people can hear a brand story, they get aligned with a brand story. Now you're more than just a product, right? You're offering more than just a service. Correct. Now you're offering some type of mission that people get to embark on, right? Now all of a sudden you have certain values that people get to align with. And when people have a mission, when people have a vision, when people have values, when people have a community, a space that they feel like, okay, I can be a part of this and be aligned with other people like me. Like, one of the dopest things, right? Living in downtown Miami, this is one of the awesome things. And obviously I've always been a fan of Nike, right? But Nike has this thing called the Nike Run Club, right? And when I was living in Broward, when I was living in, Aventura, North Miami, right, you didn't really see any of this stuff. But living in downtown, Nike Run Club, these guys once a month get together and you will have hundreds, sometimes you have thousands of people that come. They're all rocking Nikes. They all want to start to run a 3K or a 5K or a 10K. And like, I don't even know any of this stuff's going on, but one day I'm just coming out of the building and then I see thousands of people running in front of me. I'm like, is there a marathon going on? Nope. Nike Run Club, right? They have a personal brand story, and the brand is something that everyone just fell in love with. And now all of a sudden they're part of a community that goes deeper. And like, man, it's just so aligned, from being able to track your health, being able to measure your results, being able to compare and compete with your friends, your family members, if you want to be held accountable. If you don't have friends or family members that want to be held accountable, you align with other people in the community that can become friends, and you guys get together once a month to go run. Like, it is insane.
That's cool.
What they've been able to do. It's more than just a shoe, right?
Of course.
It's literally a brand, and you have people that would rather punch someone in the face than change their Nike brand of sneaker to go to something else, right? To go to Adidas, right? And so people need to realize, if you don't have a way to turn your product into more than just a product, then you're not going to last in business long, because you're always going to be replacing customers as opposed to building a community of people where they're already just going to repeat business with you because they're already in love with that. brand. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very good. So everyone has the opportunity to do it. And a lot of times people are, well, I'm not Nike and I'm not, it's easy for you to say. No, because the small mom and pop shop does the same exact thing, right? The Italian restaurant down the street does the exact same thing. Even though it's a family-owned shop, it's been family-owned for the last 30 plus years. And you know that the grandparents that started this were immigrants from Italy. They came here, they spent their last dime to open up the restaurant, and all of a sudden, now it's gone from generation to generation. And when you go to that restaurant, they serve good food, and you know the people behind it, and you know the story. That's the place that you want to show people that come to visit you, and they say, where should we go for Italian food?
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
Yep. That's the best advertising.
Best advertising, right? So that's the second thing. So there's a formula to actually doing it. But you got to really just recognize that story. I've taken people that were in the world of real estate, and they start off as a real estate agent. They're like, okay, cool, I'm going to go ahead and sell homes. And I'm like, good. How do we get you to become more than the person that sells homes? It's like, well, why would I want to do anything else but sell homes? I'm like, because you have 500,000 other people in the country that are all
selling homes.
Selling homes. Like, how do you differentiate yourself from all the other real estate agents, right? And during good times, those numbers go up. During bad times in the economy, it goes down, right? But people want to be affiliated with companies and brands that they can trust. So the easiest way to stand out as more than just a salesperson for what it is that you do is you show up to these networking events, you meet people, and you're going to go ahead and use the personal brand story formula. So you talk about, number one, what's the major dilemma that got you to want to look into real estate, right? How'd you get into real estate? What were the issues and downfalls that you saw for yourself and other people in this world, in the industry of real estate, right? And you talk about, here are the problems that they were facing, and here are the solutions that you're offering, and then here are the ultimate breakthrough, the results that you're providing to other customers. When you can actually craft that into a story formula and you share it with people, here's the craziest thing about it. You're going to meet with people for coffee. You're going to meet people at events. You're going to meet people at open houses. They won't remember the house or the price or the percentage that you're offering or any of the factual details, but they will always remember the story. Okay. So for me, for instance, I got involved in the world of real estate. I remember it was probably in the year 2014 or 2015. And I was working ACN. I was working that business for 10 years. After me and that company got divorced, I was like, what am I going to do next? I had a mentor. One of my mentors, his name's Bill Walsh. He's known as America's #1 small business coach. And he said, listen, man, you're freaking out and you're putting way too much pressure on yourself. He's like, you're not even 30. And what he told me was, you can spend the next 2 or 3 years doing like 5 or 6 things. Because I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, bro, I don't know what to do. I know I'm talented. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, you could spend the next 2-3 years of your life doing 5 or 6 things, right? He says you could do 6 things, take 6 months at a time, and over the next few years, determine like, okay, which one of these things do you know that you really want to do?
Right.
So I tried out real estate. I tried out financial planning. I tried out public speaking and executive consulting. I got into credit repair. I got into cryptocurrency. I got into the medical field, helping my brother expand his business. So I did a bunch of different things. Like, what am I going to do next? And sure enough, he was right. Because you spend 5-6 months doing something, you start to get a feel for it, and you'll know, is this something I'm willing to commit to for the next 5 to 10 years?
Correct.
And he says, if you are not willing to commit the next 10 years of your life to working a project, he says, you haven't found it yet.
Yeah. You got to be excited about it.
You got to be excited about it, right? And that all comes back to how do you find a vision? Identifying what it is that you want, right? And so I basically came down to it, and real estate was one of the things I was trying out. And I remember I was just like, man, this is not as easy as people make it seem. You look at these TV shows, they make it seem easy. You look at people on social media, oh yeah, look, glorious house, another house sold, another house listed. It's not as glorious as they make it sound. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was a straight down dogfight.
Oh, that's a business is hardcore.
That business is hardcore because every person that I'm talking to, they're talking to a dozen other real estate agents about the same thing.
You got to be different.
You got to be different. So how do you make sure you separate yourself? So I basically came in, and I remember I had my personal brand story that basically was all created, and this is what I encourage everyone else to go do. And as I was basically creating this thing, it's like, number one, why'd I enter the world of real estate? It's like, okay, well, basically I was having issues trying to find a place. And then I was dealing with real estate agents, and they were all lazy. None of these people were showing up on time. None of these people wanted to help me out unless they knew it was a guaranteed sale. So they were like, oh, halfway in, halfway out. And they were like, no, you could go see it yourself. There's a lockbox, and there you could go figure it out. We'd schedule appointments with people that wouldn't show up. I'm like, what the hell is this thing, right? So I saw, like, number one, there's so many real estate agents, right? Tens of thousands of agents all over the place here in the local area. And none of these people are professionals. So I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and stand out because there's other people that need these services. They want the services. They want to work with professionals. So I basically dive in. Now that's my calling. I basically have a friend I met at a networking event. I know him for years. He owned his own brokerage. I basically start working with him. And now all of a sudden I got personal mentorship from someone that owns the company. And as I worked the company and I'm thinking it's going to be easy, it wasn't so easy. And I fell flat on my face. I came from a background where I was used to building $1 million plus or doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue, doing sales, building sales teams. I'm like, this is going to be cake. And my first 2 weeks, I'm failing. It was like a hit to the, face, a slap in the face. Right. So my mentor said, listen, man, you want to come in, you got to start from scratch. Let your ego at the door. Be willing to learn the scripts. Be willing to show up at 8 a.m. to make cold calls. Most people, 97% of people are not going to be willing to do the cold calls, but if you're willing to do it. So I had to humble myself and learn and all that stuff.
Cold calls are awesome.
Cold calls are great.
Cold calls build you, man. They really build you, man.
They
you
do.
Get smacked around those cold calls.
You get smacked around.
And it doesn't matter, man, because you can just hang up and make another call.
Yeah, you just hang up, and you have to be willing to let go of the nose and move it on and keep it going. You can't take it personal. So I was humbled all of a sudden, right? And I was willing to go through this stuff. And as I basically found a mentor and I found a new way to basically serve people and help people in the community, win and all that.
You're trying to be different.
I'm trying to be different.
Step away from what all the other real estate agents were doing. You're doing something to be better than everybody else.
Well, here's the thing. So
I want to say something about that.
Oh, okay, go.
I want to recommend a book to you guys because what he's talking about, to be successful, you want to be successful at something, you have to work at being the best in the world at it. You have to separate yourself from every other 50,000 real estate agents that he's talking about. For example, there's a book, okay? Check it out. Listen to it on audio, okay? It's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. Good to Great by Jim Collins. He talks, I think he uses 12 different examples. For example, he used Bank of America and Wells Fargo. Why did Wells Fargo blow up and blow by Bank of America? What did they do different when the deregulation of the banking industry happened back in the day? Get into that book. That book will show you how to become the best in the world at whatever you're doing if you follow the steps in the book. It is next level. It will show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Great book, guys. Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yeah. No, it's a great book, actually. I remember I was probably 22, 23, something like that, when I was introduced to that book. It was great.
He's got a bunch of good books.
He's got great, good books, man. Really good. And Malcolm Gladwell's another one. I got introduced to both of these guys same time. But bottom line, right, was you have to commit to being one of the best. You have to commit to becoming great. You have to do something that stands out.
That's it.
And so moral of the story with what I was just sharing with you was my personal brand story was I came in thinking that things were going to be easy for me and I was willing to kind of like half step, right? Because I wanted things to be convenient. I wanted it to be simple while I was still serving clients, and it did not work. And my mentor said you have to go back to the nitty gritty. And when you're focused on your paycheck, what happens is you're only going to do what's required for you to make the paycheck. But when you put the focus on what is this person's dream, what's this person's vision, what house do they want, how soon do they want to get there, and how do we avoid all the hassles and all the stress associated with that, and you tailor your structure, your system according to that, all of a sudden opportunities start blossoming, right? So I came in, I started doing the cold calling, I started going through rejections, doing no's, showing up at networking events, started door knocking, and I started doing more research than I've ever done in my entire life just to be able to help people find their dream apartments, their next dream home, or their commercial real estate property. And look, moral of the story was by my 6th month in the business, I was basically selling more real estate than all the other people in the office, right? Ooh, by the time my first year was done, the broker of that had multiple offices. I was number 1 out of all the different offices, right? 3 different offices. Then by year 2, I ended up transferring to another company called Keller Williams, huge brokerage, right? And out of every company that was in the Southeast region as a single agent, not working as a team, but as a single agent, I became the top producer out of the multiple offices that were in that area. I ended up working everything with 2 assistants, and we just found a way to serve our clients at the best possible rate. And everything, the moral of the story came down to this. I realized through my experience that people I was working with, people that wanted luxury homes, people that wanted commercial properties, just didn't want the stress of having to deal with anything. So when we showed up, like, hey, we already did the research. When we showed up and here are your pamphlets and here are all the ones that you considered and here are all the closet sizes that you said you wanted and here's everything, we realized that by making their lives easy, we became the go-to people. And I was getting referred business left and right. Like this guy, Karl, will go above and beyond. And it just became part of the story. So it's like my whole thing was Karl Smith, right, with NLRG, Next Level Real Estate Group. And we're here to help you get the home that you want and the time that you want with less stress, less hassle, as soon as you want to get it done. Like, you know, and then that just became our thing. That we're helping people get what they want without the stress and hassle. And that became part of the brand. Sure. It's like this guy will just go above and beyond for you. He will make sure that you don't have to lift a finger in this whole process. Nice. And that's just what it was. So anyways, bottom line is this. I tell people when you get involved in the world of real estate, if you're selling cars, if you're selling financial services, if you're selling insurance, doesn't matter. But like you got to talk about your brand story. Mm-hmm. Who are you? Why did you decide to get into this? And me, my personal brand story was I understood what it was like to be on the other side. Right? I was there. I was switching apartments. I had to deal with the first agent, trash, second agent, trash, third agent, trash. And I realized no one's serious about this. So I got involved in this industry and I said, I'm going to be the one that takes it serious and I'm going to deliver in a way that you guys have never gotten that experience before because I was you once. That's part of the brand story, right? Nice. And so that's what it is. When I got started in direct sales the first time working with ACN, the brand story was I got called into this because I was looking for a job. I couldn't find a job, all right? I was 18 years old, no experience, no background, no business skills, no management skills, no leadership skills. A friend introduced me to a meeting. I say, I like this entrepreneur thing. I basically decide I'm going to get in. Same thing. I'm working, hustling, can't have success. 1 month goes by, 2 months goes by, 6 months go by, no money. I'm about to quit. Then after that, my mentor says, don't quit, learn to work on you. And I was like, yeah, but no one's buying. He says, work on you. And I'm like, but no one wants to join my business. He says, work on you. And he says, once you raise up your level of you, everything else will raise up alongside with you. And I'm like, damn. So I got involved with personal development. And that's what I got introduced to. Malcolm Gladwell. That's what I got introduced to. All these different books. John Maxwell, Darren Hardy, Tony Robbins, Les Brown.
Dale Carnegie.
And I started just pouring everything in, right? I read Think and Grow Rich.
Great book.
And I'm pouring stuff in, and new stuff started spewing out.
Napoleon Hill. I couldn't remember the author.
Napoleon Hill. There you go. And new stuff started pouring out. So I'm talking to people and I'm sounding different than I did when I first started. And because of personal development.
It makes a huge difference.
Huge.
I read 30 books my first year when I got introduced to personal development.
Amazing.
I was like, what? Nobody told me about this.
Yeah.
Changes your game.
Changes your game, man.
You got to read. I talk about that all the time. You got to read a little bit, even if it's like 30 minutes before you go to bed. That's the best time to read. If you're going to read, 30 minutes before you go to bed because your brain retains more information right before you're going to go to sleep than any other time. While you're driving around, instead of jamming music, listen to a book. You're at the gym, listen to a book. It will change your game. We just mentioned a ton of books. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big, Good to Great. Give them a couple, Karl.
Yeah. What's it called? Did we say How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yes.
We said that. Think and Grow Rich, the Cash Flow Quadrant.
That's a good
Rich
one.
Dad, Poor Dad was a great one.
Kiyosaki.
Yeah, Kiyosaki's one of the greats. Let me see. Unlimited Power from Tony Robbins was a great one.
That's a good one. He's
what else
awesome.
do we have? Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. That's actually my top 3 book right there. It's a great book.
It's a bunch of books, guys.
Huge. Right?
Write them down. Go get them.
10X from Grant Cardone is great. Yes. He has a bunch of spelling errors, but if you can get over that, I mean, I didn't care, but other people are like, I couldn't read that. He was spelling errors. I'm like, bro,
who cares, man?
Who the hell cares? Dude's a
Don't
billionaire.
Don't focus
what
on the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. That's another book.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, man, all this stuff, there's countless books that are out there, right? And so I just started working on me, and through working on me, I realized that everything else started rising up around me to the point where 21 years old, I'm making a 6-figure income. By 26 years old, I was a VP of a company doing just under $1 billion in sales, right? After that, I basically transitioned, started my own consulting company and started helping companies completely transform. People are like, how was it that you were able to do all these things? Maybe you're just gifted. No, I just worked on myself harder than everybody else. And what I did was I proved to myself that if I wasn't adequate because I was empty on the inside, I'm talking about with leadership qualities, but then I filled myself up with leadership qualities, anything became possible afterwards. And then I proved that I can do that through other people, right? We got Nelson Martin, Nelson Rodriguez, Montana Method,
Nelson
that
Martin,
got
he's a good
involved.
dude. What's up, Nelson Martin?
Nelson Rodriguez that got involved in the business, didn't know anything, but was a student of the game, then could present like no one could present, could sell like no one could sell, could lead like no one could lead, could train like no one could train.
Montana Method
And
superstar.
all of a sudden, this
now
guy's
he's a podcast animal.
podcast king right here, right? Got his podcast agency. It's
He was
back
in New
to
York
back to
this
back to
weekend. Did you
back
see
to
his
back.
stuff from New York?
He was in New York. He's traveling, but he's helping people get their story and their message
man.
out
He's
there
doing
in a
such
way.
good job. That's what he does. He always helps other people get there. He got me going doing this, man. I remember when I told bro, your podcast is awesome. I want to do it. Let's go. He told me.
Yeah.
And here we are, episode number 12.
Here we are, episode number 12, right? And here's what he's doing. He's helping people make an impact with their communities. Because no matter who you are and what your background is or what you speak about, there's other people that could relate to you.
Yes.
There's other people that need to learn from you. There's other people that want to get tips and get
100%.
instruction and direction, right? So what happens is with people not having a platform to share their voice and share their message, what are you, right? If you have a message, but you can't get it out to anybody, you're stuck. Now all of a
That's the
sudden,
thing today to do.
we got someone like Nelson doing these amazing things, right? But it all came because the person he is today is completely different than who he was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Same thing with you, right? The person you are today, completely different than who you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So you got to grow. And that's the secret. People want to have more success, right? So more of the story with number one is number two, the personal brand story is that you have to share your personal brand story with people. People will forget what I do long before they forget the story of the only reason this guy is where he is because he committed to personal development and he got coaches and mentors. That means if I have coaches and mentors, even if the goal is beyond me, even if the vision is bigger than who I am and it's unattainable, I could eventually grow into someone that can attain it in the future.
It's funny because everybody that I talk to, everybody that I listen to, they say the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Mentors.
You need a mentor. You need a coach.
Mentors, coaches. Because what the mentor and the coach does is that he's already done what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
He's going to show you what he did to achieve the goal. You just got to follow the steps. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything changes when you're trying to reinvent the wheel. Yep. Okay, a mentor and a coach is going to guide you to your goal. You just got to follow the steps. You just got to be coachable. That's why they call him a coach.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And Michael Jordan was the best player out, but at the end of the day, he still had a what? Still had a coach. Right? And it doesn't mean that the coach is better.
He never forgot the one that cut him, though. That's the one that fueled him his whole life.
Yeah, 1,000%, right?
I feel bad for that guy.
No, you don't feel bad.
Coach.
The coach. Yeah,
Oh, my God.
I mean, hey,
the high school coach. I think it was a high school coach,
He's part of the story that made someone legendary.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
that's not so bad.
Yeah,
Even if you don't get the credit for
I
his
heard he was
greatness,
talking about it in a speech someday.
You were part of the
he
catalyst.
doesn't really mention people, and he mentioned that guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy that fuels him.
I mean, but it's what it is.
He's a monster.
Yeah, he had that killer instinct ever since high school, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on number 3, right? Building block number 3. So we got products. So once you got a purpose and you got a vision, once you got the personal brand story, you need to be talking about your company, your product, but you also have to be talking about like why it is that you're a part of what it is that you're doing, right? Why you're committed to the cause and how you're affecting other people's lives and how you know that they can actually make the change, right?
Product or service?
That's the personal brand story that you're sharing, right? But number 3, after you have those 2 things down, is you need to go in on your product or your service. Now, the product or service, here's what most people don't realize, is that the product doesn't matter. No one buys your product because of your product. No one buys your service because of the service, okay? No one gives a shit about what it is that you have to offer, but here's what they do care about. They care about what's in it for them. They care about what their wants are. They care about what their needs are. They care about what they're struggling with. So what you're offering when you offer a product is not a product in itself. What you're offering is a solution to their problems. And most people that can make that transition can all of a sudden start a different communication method and have a different communication style when it comes to trying to get that product across.
It's true what he said. The product doesn't matter.
The product doesn't matter.
Like,
they just
think
want a
about
solution.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
They make coffee.
Yeah.
It's just regular coffee. but they changed the way they presented their coffee.
Yep.
They changed the people that talk to you at the counter or in the drive-thru. They changed the whole game. And now they're the biggest coffee, I think, probably the biggest coffee retail company in the world.
Yep.
Because they changed their brand. That the brand is the next level. It's expensive as hell.
It's expensive as hell, but check this out.
I said that yesterday when I was talking.
Yeah.
Once you do that, once you provide the service better than everybody else, you can charge whatever you want. And that's what they're doing.
So here's the thing, and the psychology goes back down to this. Coffee is a great example, right? How is it that they sell coffee, which is nothing? It's coffee in a cup, right? You have the mom and pop shop down the street that sells coffee in a cup, and they sell it for 1/3 of the price. You go to coffee, they're going to charge you $5 or $6. You go to the little mom and pop shop, they're charging you $1.50, $2. What's the difference, right? Does coffee make their coffee? Does Starbucks make their coffee that much better? Not really. They don't have the greatest coffee out, right? But what they did was they said, what do our people want? So to know what your people want, you have to know who are your people. And if you take a look, and Howard Schultz has this in his book when he reinvented and turned around the coffee company, right? He says the people that are going to be part of our coffee community, personal brand story, by the way, are going to be people that come in that want to have some type of identity. These are people that show that they're important. I want to show that I'm doing important work and I have freedom and flexibility to work out of a coffee shop instead of having to work at an office all day, right? I have the freedom to be able to do that. I want to show that I have some type of creative side. So the music that they choose, the aura that they create, the way that they set up the line, the way that they add all the extra items, all basically is pertaining to who is the identity, who's our avatar, and how are we pertaining to these types of people. So when you go to coffee and you're sitting down, that is an identity thing. You get to go and you get to read your paper if it was back in the day.
That's another thing.
You get to
hang
pull
out
up your laptop and you get to work remotely. You get to meet other like-minded people that are working remotely, that are hanging out. Everyone there is like, you're not just some type of bum that's just looking to like, you don't sit around and do nothing. Everyone that's there is either looking to be surrounded by other great people. You're gonna have some time to basically have your coffee while you're focused on some project that you're working on.
We used to sit at Starbucks every day.
We used to sit at Starbucks
for
all the time.
Hours,
every single day.
There would be 10, 15 of us there. We would take over half the Starbucks.
Yeah. And so,
and we drank their coffee while we were there working.
Exactly, right? You're drinking their coffee. Now, what was our identity? What types of people were we when we were in that stage?
Entrepreneurs.
We were entrepreneurs, and we were movers and shakers, and we were working towards some type of goal. And who are the people that we wanted to meet?
Entrepreneurs.
Other entrepreneurs. So when we're working at Starbucks, how often do we start conversations with other people?
All the time.
All the time, right? Like
if
attracts
you looked
like.
at us, we were talking to you.
We were talking to you. We're like, oh, what do you do? I see you here all the time.
Yeah.
I see you over here. You're working on your laptop. I see you got your notebook, whatever it is.
Or they would talk to us, hey man, what are you guys doing? We see you here every day. You guys are always excited, boom, 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 and then what do you guys do?
That's right. And so if you identify with who it is that they're trying to cultivate, right, in their environment, what happens is how much more are you willing to pay to be a part of that environment versus the Dunkin' Donuts environment? You can go to Dunkin' Donuts right now, spend half of what you pay to go to Starbucks, but I would rather pay more money to sit at Starbucks location than to hang out at some little Dunkin' Donuts, right? And then you have a different demographic of people that they would prefer to go to Dunkin' Donuts, buy sweeter coffee, right? With all the extra sweetness and added sugars and all that at half the cost, then to go to Starbucks, pay more, pay a premium to be around the group of people that hang out at Starbucks. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So what happens is when you have your product, you have to know who you're tailoring your product to, and you have to figure out how am I going to stand out by solving the problems that they are facing, right? What do they want? What are the challenges that they're facing? And then how do I provide solutions to that? So when you take a look at the cars that people drive, right? Why do people buy cars?
To get from point A to point B, Carl.
To get from point A to point B. Transportation.
That's it.
Simple as it is.
That's it.
So if someone wants to go and pay for transportation and they need a car to do it, how come some people are willing to spend $20,000 for a steering wheel and 4 tires, and other people are willing to spend $100,000 for a steering wheel and 4 tires? Right?
I'm gonna answer that.
Right? What's the difference between people that buy a Honda to be able to transport from home to their commute and do the work thing, right, and back home? And then other people are going to spend $100,000 on a Benz or a BMW.
There's nothing like a Benz. Once you drive a Mercedes, you can't go back.
And there you have it, right? So the people that understand what it's like to drive a Mercedes understand that you're not buying transportation. What you're buying is status.
And the Mercedes was on my board. Now my wife and I both drive a Mercedes. It was on the board.
Yeah.
Let's go back to step one.
Yeah. It's on the board. You got to have
Yeah.
the vision.
Yeah.
But the people that decide that I'm going to do something that most people are not living and experiencing, most people are not driving Mercedes Benzes, right?
Right.
And I'm putting this on the board. That means you're willing to pay a price and work for it to be able to make that dream become real. And now you have it. Guess what? It's a status of. It's a symbol of the hard work that you paid to be able to live a life of luxury.
Because it's not to show off, Carl.
It's not to show off.
We don't have the Mercedes Benz to show off.
Yeah.
We have them because they're the most comfortable car that I've driven.
Yeah.
They don't break. It feels good when you're driving in the car. When people get in your car, like, damn, bro, nice car. They like your car. You enjoy the ride.
And how does it feel when they sit? When they sit in your car,
it's
how do they?
awesome. Even the valet guys. I've had valet guys, bro. I drive all kinds of cars, and they tell you there's nothing like driving a Mercedes.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
But you'll get there. You're gonna start with the Honda. Trust me. I drove the Honda and the Toyota for many decades. You know, but you got to put it on the board. Go back to your point.
So why is it that someone's willing to pay a price for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? And instead of saying, you know, I'm gonna go back to the Honda that I've always had. Why do I choose the Mercedes? You just said it, right? People come in, they say, wow, this is a totally different experience. You say the level of luxury and the level of comfort that you get is something. So people that buy Mercedes Benzes pay the difference for a symbol of status and the quality and comfort that you get that you won't get. It's not the same thing.
And not everybody's the same, because we know a lot of billionaires. There's people like Warren Buffett. I guarantee you Warren Buffett doesn't drive a Mercedes.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He drives the same old car that he had from like 30 years ago.
He's very conservative. He's got a big fat bank account. You can't take all the money with you. People spend it.
So what happens is, for him, he's not someone that values the status anymore from what you get from driving a car, right? So they're not appealing to him, right? If someone's gonna try to appeal to him, go to a Lincoln, right? You could still get some
Cadillac,
right? Go to a
Those
Cadillac.
are great cars, by the way.
That's right, right? But still not a Benz.
Mercedes,
That's right. It's still not a Mercedes Benz. Okay, so you take a look at that. Now, what happens when someone decides that, okay, I'm going to drive like, what do you call those things? Like a Dodge Challenger, right? And I'm going to get the engine that has the Hemi and this and the that
Those
or
are
whatever.
nice.
Those are nice, right? And
another
some
level.
people will get that. Now, what is it that they're selling? Are they selling transportation? No, they're selling the big engine. They're selling the
muscle.
horsepower. They're selling the muscle because there's something that their type of client values. So you have to identify who is your client and get in bed with your customer. That is how you can communicate and get the proper messaging for your product. It's not about what you think the product is, and people are buying. If people understood their clients from this perspective, they would realize that people are buying their product or service for a totally different reason than what they thought people were buying their products or services for. And you're going to be able to launch, grow, and scale at a totally different level when you get this stuff down, okay? So think of your customers, don't think about you. Think of your customers' needs and wants and challenges, as opposed to thinking of, oh, well, my product has everything, because that's how you innovate. In order to make your product greater, in order to innovate to higher levels, in order to provide more value than anyone's ever seen, you provide so much value that people's heads spin, like Mercedes-Benz, right? Or Apple, which is another one. Like, why is it that people buy Apple products? Why do they buy a Mac? Because they need a computer. Really? How come they can go and buy another brand for 1/3 of the price as they do with the Mac? There's an identity that people buy into when it comes to buying the Mac, as opposed to buying the cheaper brand, even though they do the exact same thing.
I buy Apple because it doesn't break.
Doesn't break.
Doesn't get viruses.
All right, so there you go.
That's why I like Apple. I don't have no problems. If I lose my phone, I just buy a new one. I hit the button, it's got all my stuff back in the phone, like if I never lost my phone. There's pros and cons.
There's pros and cons. Now, when they created their products, do you think that they created it on accident to make sure that there's no viruses, or did they think, you know what, our client would value if we didn't have viruses? Our clients would value if we could find one way to just take all the information you have on your cell phone and have it automatically shift.
Yep.
Exactly,
That's
right?
it. Where it's always there. You don't lose it.
You got to reverse engineer your thinking, your process, your product. And when you think, what would my client value, all of a sudden you'll start innovating at levels that no one else.
What can I do to become the best in the world?
That's right.
At what I do. Another thing, Carl, is you want to offer a service and a product that everyone has to use every day on a habitual basis.
Yeah.
Something that people have to use all the time. You're upping your success chances if you're offering something that people have to use all the time.
Yeah, 100%. There's got to be a need for it, right?
Yep.
Yes, good. All right, so on to number 4. So number 4, after you got your purpose, after you got your personal brand story, after you've crystallized the messaging on your product and what it is you're really offering, not what you think you're offering, but what you're really offering, then number 4, we get into people. Who are the people that you need to make your dream and your vision become a reality? Because you can't do it all by yourself, right? So a lot of people come in and they have these great ideas. I was talking to someone just the other day and they said, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to patent this and I'm going to come up with that and I'm going to put it out there and we're going to put it on the blockchain. I'm like, what do you know about any of these technological things that you're speaking about? And they knew absolutely nothing. And I said, so what makes you think that you're going to go out there and do this all on your own? Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's impossible for you right now, but it can be possible and it can be probable if you align yourself with the right people that are going to be part of your board. You don't have technological skills? Great. Now you get a teammate with someone who is savvy in the
That's a great lesson.
technological world, right? So anything can become possible in time. I remember Brian Tracy. I was at way back. I was listening to a thing.
Books the guy writes.
Oh my God, his books, amazing.
Yes.
Amazing, his books, especially around the rules of productivity. So good. Around every rule of everything with business, he's so good. But one of the things he talked about is there's no such thing as an unrealistic goal. He says just unrealistic plans. So he's like, people talk about goals. This is what I want. This is what I want. He says, good. What's your plan to get there? People are like, He says, then your goal is just a dream. And I'm not telling you this to discourage you dreaming. Continue dreaming, but you also need the plan. It was impossible for us to think one day that, we're going to be able to fly. We're going to be on the moon as human beings. We don't have wings. How are we going to get there? Right? But if you understand the laws of aerodynamics, the laws of physics, the laws of this, that, all of a sudden you could create a plan and now we could build a rocket ship and we could be on the moon. We could fly on a plane. We could do all these things.
The Wright brothers.
You got it. Exactly. The Wright brothers, right? So you have to have a plan for how do we bridge this gap, right? Now, you may not have all the answers. As a matter of fact, you're probably not going to have all the answers. As a matter of fact, I'll guarantee you 99.999% of you don't have the answers. Okay. But you know what? Other people have the answers to one part of the plan that's required in the process. So how do you get that person to align with your vision and get them on your team? Okay. And if you can get the right people to help out with marketing, if you can get the right people to help out with sales, if you can get the right people to help out with customer service and customer success.
Talk all about that on Good to Great.
It's all
Putting
in
the
there.
right people on the right seats on your bus.
Yes.
Your bus is headed in the direction of where you're going. You got to park the right people in the right seats on your bus. And every once in a while, you're going to have to move them from one seat to the other. Talk about that book is next level.
I'm telling you, the
ahead.
book is great. And that's exactly what they did talk about. They put the analogy of being in the bus. And what happens is, who's riding in your bus with you, right? Most of you guys are like, oh, well, I'm going to be a millionaire this year. I'm going to make 6 figures this year, first time ever. But like, what's your plan? I don't know. That's okay. You don't even need to be the one that comes up with the plan, but you need to have someone on your team that does. So one of the things that I learned from another one of the experts that I had as a mentor, this is why mentors and coaches are so important, was he said you need to create what's called—
They hold you accountable, Carl.
They hold you accountable, but they also help you like broaden your perspective. You're going to think of things and see and realize things you never would have realized on your own.
Of course.
Right? That's why they call it a mastermind. Right? You have one mind and a second mind that together they come up with a third mind that comes up with new ideas that you wouldn't have, either of you wouldn't have been able to come up with on your own.
Napoleon Hill talks about that.
He does talk about
Creating your mastermind team is such a big deal. It's so
big.
Good.
Who's on your board of directors?
Right.
Right? So on a HOTS team, and I learned this from Dale Carnegie, okay? On your HOTS team, it's 4 different types of personalities that you need with you at the executive level. And he says the H, it's an acronym. H stands for hair. So everyone needs a hair. What's the hair? The hair is the bright ideas. It's the visionary. I can come up with an idea, even though I may not know how we're going to get there. This is an idea that would work. This is an idea that'd be great. This is an idea that people would buy into. So you got to have one of those on your team at all times.
Somebody that's coming up with ideas all the time.
All the ideas all the time.
There's a lot of companies that have just groups of people that do that all
That's
day.
all they do, right? And they use those people that have the creative minds to come up with, okay, well, we need new ideas that are going to help us solve these issues. How do we break into a new market? How do we get this demographic of people to want to align with our brand? How do we get this and this and that and that and that, right? So you need people that have the ideas to basically do it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to distract you.
For sure. So hair. Then after that, you have O. O stands for owl.
Okay.
So the
I've
owl—
never heard of this. You got to turn me on to this. Go ahead.
Gotcha.
Owl, go ahead.
So owl stands for strategist, okay? The owl is a strategist. So the owl can take this big idea that they might not have come up with on their own, but now you have to reverse engineer it to get you from where you are right here to where it is that you want to be. You have to create a bridge. So when someone says, I want to take my company and I'm selling, I don't know, makeup, for instance, right? Someone says, I want to sell makeup. How do I do it? It's like, okay, so you have the idea of selling your makeup brand and scaling it to $1 million plus. But now you need an owl on your team that could reverse engineer. How are you guys going to actually go do it? Okay. Who are you going to need on your team? How are you going to set up processes and systems in place, right? How are you going to deliver with fulfillment? How are you going to set up your marketing? How do you attract attention and get eyeballs, right? Like that whole process needs to be broken down. That's cool, part of the plan.
Ow.
Ow. Then after that, you have the T. The T is the turtle. So on every team, what happens is you have the hare that comes up with big, hairy, audacious goals and ideas. You have the owl that can create structures and systems and processes because that's how their mind works. The very urchin-like or green personality type people, very structure-oriented. Then you have the turtle, which basically makes sure that you pump the brakes. They're the ones that keep you grounded. They're the ones that are more of the realists. And these are the people that I actually had the most opposition with in the past because I am the hare, right? I always came up with we're going to go and do this. But you always need someone on your team that says, okay, cool, we're not going to spend all of them. Okay, we're not going to overspend. We're not going to overdo. We're not going
to. You need to have one of those.
You got to have one of those, right? And so a lot of times you'll find you got it. Shit, a lot of times you'll find that entrepreneurs will be married to a spouse that's someone of the complete opposite. When you're the entrepreneur and you have ideas and you could even create plans for how you do it, you'll a lot of times often find that they're married or associated with a turtle that says, hey, we got to pump the brakes here, okay?
Yeah, this we got to pay these bills too. We got to
make sure bills are taken care of. We got to make sure family's taken care of. And if those people were not there, like I know.
In trouble. Shit, I got no money to eat. I'm hungry.
I got no money to eat. We spent it all on here. We bet it all on the ranch, right? So you have to have someone that just helps to gauge, monitor, and make sure that, listen, you're not making like
this is good stuff, guys.
Decisions. And then the S stands for the squirrel, okay? Ooh. Squirrel is the action taker. It's the artist. It's the go-getter. It's the person that implements. It's the person that does the tasks and the projects. So I've actually done consultations with bright minds, man. I've done mastermind meetings. I've done strategic planning sessions with people that own companies. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's your vision for the next year? And how are you guys plan on doing that? What are some of the challenges you guys have been facing? And just to hear how they come up with these ideas or how they already plan to overcome challenges, great to see other people's perspectives. Because a lot of times even me, and I come in as a consultant, I'm like, I would have never thought of that. But then they're like, here's where we're stuck. And then I say, okay, great. Well, if you just tweak this and add this, and have you ever thought about this? And they're like, oh, we never thought. That's the missing piece of the puzzle. And boom, great. But now you need someone to implement it. So the squirrels are the salespeople. The squirrels is the one that's willing to knock on the doors. The squirrels is the one that's going to make the phone calls. Okay, boom. So we need to find one business to hook us up with this, or one person to sponsor, or a group of people that are willing to buy at this rate. Okay, I'm going to make the calls. I'm going to knock on the doors.
They're going to do whatever they got to do to make it happen.
That's right.
That's why when you see it's funny because it's funny that they use the squirrel, because you watch some squirrel videos on TikTok and you see them, that the people make it impossible for them to get to the bird seed, and the freaking squirrel always finds a way. Yep. They bust their head on the thing, jump in, they do it, but they don't give up. That's a good one.
It's a great one. So you need a HOTS team on your executive team.
That's awesome.
And what happens is most of us start off as one primary and one secondary. And what happens is all four of these different types of styles are all 100% learnable. So you can learn to develop these. And as you start to associate with other like-minded people that are actually, on the way and journey towards greatness, or people that have already achieved the thing that you're looking to achieve, you'll start to develop these other characteristics and qualities. Like right now, I'm a lot more turtle reserved than I was 10 years ago.
You start picking up their habits.
You start picking up their habits. You have to learn.
The good habits. That's good.
Yeah. I used to go and talk to friends that when I would say, I'm going to find a way to do this, and they say, that doesn't seem realistic. And I'm like, well, what do you know? You've never done it. And then I go and I put all my money and I bank on this and I spend all my time. And then there's issues that I didn't foresee and I didn't plan for. And so the whole thing goes bust. Right.
It's the owl.
And so the owl is a strategist. The turtle is the realist.
Okay.
Right? Let's keep everything grounded, right? If we're going to make decisions, let's make decisions that are in line with what we want, but also are going to make sure that we stay level-headed, right? That we stay afloat. You don't want to bank everything, all of your finances on one decision that could go bust, and all of a sudden, that's it. Your company goes bankrupt and you're down and out.
A HOTS team.
You got to have the HOTS team, right? So you got to have the balance, the yin and the yang.
I like it.
You got to have the action takers.
What book did you find? That's a Dale Carnegie book, you said?
That was Dale Carnegie. It was in training. It wasn't a book. It was a training that I was
I'm going to look it up. That's good,
It's great. Yeah. So good stuff, man. So you need the right people that are going to be on your team. Okay. So that's number 4. Then after that, number 5, we get into processes and systems. So processes and systems for your company. What are you going to do to make sure that you have a client success process in place to help them go from being someone that's a lead that might be an interest of your product or service, but they're not thinking about it, right? That's a lead, a potential client, but they don't even know you exist yet. And then how do you convert them to be a prospect? So I had someone ask, what's the difference between a lead and a prospect? I said, the lead is someone who doesn't know you exist. The prospect is someone you have to put in a buying decision. Yeah, you put in a position to make a buying decision, sorry. So it's tell me yes, tell me no. It doesn't matter what the decision is, right? But they're not a prospect until you are putting them in a position to say yes or say no to you. Okay. So when you have that prospect and you set up that appointment with that prospect and you're pitching that prospect, they're not a client yet, but they're in a prospective state, in a position, right? And then so how are you going to get someone who's never heard of you, doesn't know you exist, all of a sudden become a prospect? You have to think about what's that process going to look like, right? How do you take someone that's living in the house that wants to move to another house, but doesn't know that you're the person that's going to be the one to sell them the house? How do you get them in a position to be on the phone or be with you at Starbucks, drinking your expensive coffee and telling you, yes, I'm going to choose you or no, I'm not, right? You got to get them, you have to think about that process. Then from a prospect, you need the process that you're going to take them to actually being a customer and saying yes. So what's your process looking like? Are you going to present to them? Are you going to do it on a discovery call, right? Are you going to send them information? Are you going to have them watch a webinar? Are you going to have them meet in person? Are you going to invite them to an event? Are you going to invite them to a home meeting? Like, what's that process looking like?
Right.
Then after that, once you get them to be a customer, how do you change and shift their mindset from being just a customer where they bought your product or service and then that's it, to all of a sudden feeling like they're an actual client? So I didn't know there was a difference between a customer and a client. I just called everyone clients because I thought it just sounds better. But in the actual definition of being a client, the client is under the protection, guidance, and care of some authoritative expert consultant. Okay. So when you actually have a client, that means they're under your expert guidance and care. You have a fiduciary responsibility.
That means they're going to buy more than once from you, right?
That's not what it means. It means if you actually have a relationship where they are a client, you can get them to buy more than once, but you have to actually treat them like a client as opposed to just a customer.
Right.
So if you're going to go and buy something from the store, boxers, shirts, t-shirts, jeans, you can go to Walmart. I just buy this and then I leave. Why? Because I needed socks, right? I needed whatever. That's fine. Now, it's a totally different relationship when you actually have a fashion, what do you call it? A fashion advisor? No, what do you call it? A fashion, what? Huh? Oh, fashion consultant. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but yeah, that's fine, right? Fashion consultant, right? If you have a fashion
designer,
no, fashion advisor, fashion consultant, whatever. Let's just call it that, right? Now, all of a sudden, okay, let's take a look. These celebrities, right? These celebrities are out and they have to make all these grand appearances, red carpet appearances. They have to be at the Grammys. They have to be at the Oscars. They have to be at this. And these people are going to be criticized based on what it is that they're wearing. Right? Yeah. And so some people like me say, okay, I just need a t-shirt. I need jeans. I need some sneakers. I'm going to the store. There's my t-shirt. There are my jeans. There's my sneakers. And I'm going to get out. Right? Now, if I'm that celebrity that's going to make all these appearances, I could show up and people would say, oh, can you believe he's wearing this from last season? Can you believe? Right. He didn't wear something that matched. He wore something that's totally out of style, right? What is this person, a dinosaur? So if you have a fashion advisor, okay,
a wardrobe person,
all of a sudden you're under the protections, care, and guidance of that person.
Right.
They will not let you just go out and buy a t-shirt just because you want to go and buy a t-shirt, because every single thing that you do matters when it comes to making that impression. So they're going to advise you, you need to make this decision or that. And if you do a good job, then you can get that person to continuously work with you, where every single time they buy new clothes, they're going through you. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Very big difference. If you're a barber, you could be someone that just cuts someone hair and it's like, okay, cool. I just tried this guy out one time and that's it. He was just a customer.
Right.
But if you're a barber that says, no. What is it that you say you do? You're a business professional, sales professional. That means your look has to be spectacular every single time. So here's what I'm going to advise you do. You're going to use this conditioner and shampoo for your hair because it's going to allow it to grow better and whatever it is.
Shine,
You're going to
look
use,
good, right,
exactly, right? You're going to use this product and this product so that you can work on the coloration so that you got the grays that are going away. You're going to come to me and I'm going to give you the best haircut that you've ever been delivered, and I'll make sure we do the
Nice.
hot steam and the
Of
towel.
course.
There's a different experience because you're under the protection, guidance, and care
of that person. Yeah.
versus someone else who says, okay, you just need a haircut, here's your haircut. And I don't care how it affects every other aspect of your life. So if people could start to look at their customers that way, do you think your customers will have a greater affinity to you as a person? Absolutely. Do you think that person's more likely to do business with you?
Sure.
Do you think that person's going to continue to buy from you even for years to come if they can, right? 100%.
And not just that, refer you to everybody they know.
And refer you to everyone they know. So there's a difference in mindset of when you have a customer and you think of them as just a customer versus you have a client now that is under your protection, care, and guidance.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes
so
sense.
there needs to be a process for that. When you take a look at the greatest companies in the world, you take a look at people that go gambling, for instance, in Vegas.
Yeah.
A customer is someone that just walks into the hotel. You go into whatever, casino. For me, one of my favorites is the Aria, right? I stay there every single time. And I go to the Aria and then I go and I'm going to play poker, right? Or I'm going to play roulette or I'm going to play blackjack.
Sure.
I can just go in. But what happens is if I go to another restaurant, another hotel, like let's say I go across the street to Planet Hollywood. I go to Planet Hollywood. I just pay for chips, this and that, whatever it is. I'm just a customer. I walk in and out. When I go to Aria, because of the fact that I stayed there so many times, I've accumulated points. I have a membership card. Now, every single time I make a reservation, these people not only upgrade me when, oh, you're coming to stay at the hotel, let's make sure that we upgrade you. Do you need help with your luggage, sir? We're going to go ahead. Don't even worry. If you want to go and have some food, if you want to go do this, we're going to bring all your luggage. Yeah. We're going to start to comp you. They're comping me extra days.
If you gamble a lot, they give you free rooms.
They're going to give you free rooms. They're going to walk you to your table. They lay out the red carpet. Right. There's an experience they give me that I don't get when I'm just a customer.
Great point.
100%.
Yes.
So that needs to be expertly thought of. These people didn't do all that stuff on accident.
Right.
All of it was expertly managed and thought out of. That's why you need the hair and you need the owl to help you. It's a system.
Process.
Right? So these are all process and system. What happens after you get someone to become a client? The biggest companies in the world say, how do I get this person to go from being a client to now feeling like they're part of a community? We need to get these people to be a community member. And there's a thought process that has to go into how do I strategically plan to create some type of community? So I could be a customer that just goes and buys my Nike shoes whenever I need new shoes, or I could be a community member and then join the Nike Run Club every single month when they have a meet.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now all of a sudden I need new shoes because my shoes got ruined. Where am I going to go? Adidas? I'm going to buy Converse after I bought from Nike and after they're giving me. I mean, I got Converse too. I love Converse too, man. I buy Converse just because it actually
Chuck Taylor, baby.
That's right. You got it. But I buy Converse just because it actually goes against the norm. Everyone does one thing. I usually go the opposite.
I like to do that too, Carl. That's funny you said that.
I'm telling you, man.
Step outside the box, man.
You got to step outside the box, especially living
But I do have
as an entrepreneur.
Nikes too, trust me.
But man, Nike's such a great brand because they expertly planned out like how do we keep our people with us long term? That's the thought. So how do we get them to go from just being a lead to all of a sudden becoming a prospective client?
Man, we better get some checks from all these companies we're talking about, bro.
You know what I mean? We're giving that plug. I'm waiting for my residual checks, right? Yeah.
Residual.
But
what a great word that is.
Everyone needs to think about what am I going to do to have my people like elevate their experience when it comes to associating with me and my brand. You got to put them into some type of community. So me, I offer coaching, right? I offer coaching services. And I just got off the phone with someone yesterday. I got to meet them. I knew them from way back before, but through other mutual friends, right? And then all of a sudden the person just reached out to me just yesterday and says, hey, how much do you charge for a session? I started a new project. I'm dealing with some challenges. How much do you charge for like an hour of your time? And I said, $500. And he says, okay, cool. Now, when can we meet? Can we do this in person? I said, no, that's just over the phone. If we're going to meet in person, I can go up to 2 hours. We could do a strategic planning session. That's a different price. And then we had to figure out what price was going to work for him. Once we figured that out, he doesn't know that I've already planned out in my head what it's going to take for you to go from a prospective client to all of a sudden make a decision to be a customer, to all of a sudden have you feel like, oh my gosh, Carl's not just a one-time consultant or a one-time coach, but Carl feels like a business partner for me that I don't even have to pay. I'm not paying Carl for all the profits and the revenue growth, right? But I feel like Carl is so much invested because I'm treating them like a client. I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure he succeeds. That's going to keep that person continuing to pay. But not only that, once a month, I throw on a networking event and business workshop. So as I'm training him every single week and we're doing our calls, then I say, why don't you plug into one of my events? Nelson knows. Nelson was at my last event. We had a few people. Half the people in my room were clients. And as they show up, you're meeting other like-minded people. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Oh, you have this business?
Your system.
And it's all part of the system. But now they plug in. I'm connecting them. I said, didn't you say you needed help with marketing? This person has a marketing agency. Why don't you connect with them? Yep. And didn't you say you need a new salesperson? This guy over here is looking for his next project. Let me connect you with him. So I'm adding more value. And then he's learning things, things that he didn't have to pay my hourly fee, and he gets the network, and then he gets other partners, and then he might even find a client. There's so much value from that. And then what do I tell him? I say, oh, next month, first Thursday of every month, we have another event. So it gives him a reason to come back. And as he's thinking, do I want to pay Karl the consulting fee for this week? And then there's an event that he shows up to again, and then he gets re-inspired. All of this stuff is expertly managed. It's all processes and systems, right? So how do you create a community? You're doing it right now. You're basically putting out your podcast information. People who like this can have a place that they can come back to and then share messages with people in the comments. Then all of a sudden get connected with people in the comments.
All day.
And now how you take your thing to the next level is you say, how do we go deeper?
Right.
On the surface level, we have podcasts. What are we going to do next? Okay, live in person. What's that going to look like? How often are we going to do it? What type of experience will we deliver? And then from there, once that's working, how do we go deeper? And how do we go deeper? And how do we go deeper?
And that's exactly what's happening. Like now we're doing lives every time. Like the last 3 or 4 we've done them.
You're doing lives and you're doing Q&A sessions, right? Yes. So now it's not just people seeing you from afar saying, okay, that's that guy that's motivating me. But now you're someone they can interact with.
We're going to do Q&A sessions where somebody's going to be back there asking questions and we're going to be able to answer your questions. We're going to get there.
100%. So that's all what your process is.
Yes, sir.
Processes and systems are everything.
That's
people
step,
ask,
what, 5 or
that's
so?
Step number 4.
5.
Step number 5, right? So then after that, we got step number 6 and 7. Number 6, what do we have? It's prospects and promotions, okay? So all these start with P, by the way. But prospects and promotion is all about how you're going to get the word, right?
Yeah, I'll start with
7 Ps, yeah.
Okay, I like it, Karl.
7 Ps, that's right.
The 7 Ps.
7 Ps to
ahead.
launch,
Prospects
grow, and build a great business. So what happens is you need to get prospects. How are you going to do it? You got to be able to promote yourself. So I tell people, like, what's your plan for promotion? Most people have one thing that they do. Most companies that are small business owners, right? They one thing. Some people, it might be social media. Let me go ahead and do my stuff on social media. Other people, it's, oh, well, I'm going to pay for advertising. Okay. Other people, it's, oh, I'm just going to go talk to people, network, or I'm just going to go door knock. They have like 1, maybe 2 different things. What we tell is that if you look at the top Fortune 500 companies, the biggest companies in the world, there was a study that was done, and what they realized is that there's 10 common things that all the top companies do. Now, they do dozens of different things when it comes to marketing strategy, but there's 10 that are unanimous across the board, okay? And so I'm not going to get into the whole 10 because I'll be here all day if I were to talk about that, but what would happen for one's business if you didn't have just one marketing strategy or 2 marketing strategies, but you had 10 marketing strategies that were expertly like thought out and now they're implemented with piercing effectiveness.
Oh, huge.
Oh my gosh. You have leads coming in from one strategy, then you have leads coming in 24 hours a day from a second one, then from a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10. So most people freak out when they have one strategy or a second strategy and all of a sudden there's a change in the market or a change in the economy or a change in presidency. And they say, oh my gosh, all my customers are changing. All the prices are changing and everything goes down to shit. And then they freak out. But when you have 10 different sources and strategies and channels for marketing that are bringing you leads, if 2 or 3 go out because there's a change in the marketplace, that's okay. You still got 7 more. You still have 6 more. You still have 8 more, right? So people need to take time, take 6 to 12 months, and you need to implement these things. So I'm going to give you 3, okay, that are going to make the biggest difference. And I call this the fast client formula. So first one, everyone needs to have a plan for direct outreach and word of mouth. And this needs to be expertly thought out and done on purpose. You got to think like a strategist.
Sure.
So when someone says, okay, cool, who are you and what do you do? Most people have no idea how to answer that question. And the answer changes every single time. Who are you and what do you do? I'm a marketing person. Who are you and what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. Who are you and what do you do? I sell cars. And that's it, right? And what happens is if you're going to be effective with this, your direct outreach method has to be a method where it's 4 steps. Number 1, You're going to attract someone's attention, and you have 1 to 2 minutes to be able to do it. So I help people craft what's called the 2-minute you. Okay. So the 2-minute you is who you are. It's what you do. It's why they need to listen, meaning your credibility. It's the cause and the mission that you're on and that you support. And then it's a call to action. So if I was on the radio station right now, dope. So if I was on a radio station right now, this was a radio, and we had someone here, and we'd say, okay, good, we got 2,000 listeners that are listening right now, or 20,000 listeners that are listening right now. What are you going to go ahead and say? Most people are like, oh, just buy for me. I have this. I'm an expert realtor. And then that's it. And no one really wants to pay attention, right? You offer coaching services. Oh, I'm a coach. Buy for me. No one cares, okay? But when you have this 1 to 2 minute system that's set up, who you are, what you do, why they need to listen to you, what's the cause and the mission that you're on, and what's the call to action, you're going to completely separate yourself. And 1 to 2 minutes, it's an elevator pitch. It's an elevator speech. It's all you have to grab someone's attention and have them thinking, I'm curious, I want to hear more.
Right. If
you can't get someone thinking, I'm curious and I want to hear more within 1 minute of speaking to them, you've lost them. That's it. Your chance is gone right through your fingers. Okay. So I tell people, you have your business cards, you have your pitch ready. Mine, very simple. I did it when we first got on. Who are you and what do you do? My name's Karl Smith, founder of Next Level Success. Okay, well, what do you do? The what do you do is not what do I do, meaning what product or service. It's what do I do for the customer. So mine is we empower entrepreneurs, business and sales professionals to become greater leaders so they could take their businesses to the next level and create even more success. That's what I help you do. That's what I do for you, okay? Not what I'm trying to sell for me. I'm gonna help you take your business to the next level.
There you go.
Then after that, it's, all right, well, why should I listen, right? Where's your credibility? Then you state your credibility. You need 1, 2, or 3 pieces of credibility. So you could use time. You could use the amount of customers that you've been able to help. You could give the results that you've been able to help them promote or create. So my credibility statement is for the last 10 plus years, we've helped entrepreneurs, small business owners, home business owners, and even major corporations doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue consistently improve their sales, their revenue, and their profits through the strategies that we offer. That's what we do, and that's my credibility. So whether you're a small business owner, home business owner, or you're doing 100 million, 300 million, $500,000 a year, I've worked with all of those people, and all of them have consistently increased and improved their revenue because of ideas and strategies that we've had to offer. Now, what's our mission? Our mission is a cause that you support. This is what people need to buy into if they're going to say, I'm going to hold on to you.
Right, I want to be part of that.
I want to be part of this train. Right. So our mission and cause is we're going to empower the next generation of business leaders worldwide and help them attain results they never thought possible.
That's one of my missions.
Right? Yeah. So if you align with that, then we need to align. And if you want to do that with other people, then me and you need to collab. And if you're an entrepreneur that's looking to be a business leader so that you can eventually become a success warrior and a business legend within your field, a business legend of tomorrow.
I like that word, legend.
Legend, bro. Then we need to work together. You need to hop on board because this train is moving.
That's right.
That's right. So everyone needs to have a mission, and you need to be talking about that all the time. And then lastly, call to action, right? You need to move people one direction. So for us, what's the call to action? Call to action is go ahead and check me out, K Smith Inspires, right? ksmithinspires.com, ksmith360.com. Go ahead and click because I'm going to give you this.
That's the call to action.
That's the call to action. So when someone says, oh, okay, I sell coaching services, ha, 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 who the hell, how are they going to reach you, right? So
have a call to action.
You got to have a call to action. So this is how you perfect your elevator pitch, and you got to be able to deliver that. So that's part one of the direct outreach. Part two is you need to have qualification questions that are set up. So I call it the survey process or the discovery call.
Yeah.
What are the questions that you need to ask to find out if this is someone you want to collab with or someone that you want to serve and that you can serve them, right? And that you're the right fit and they're the right fit for you so you don't waste time. Then from there, what's your presentation process going to be like? Part three. And then part four is what's the onboarding process? So direct outreach, every person, every company needs to train every one of their staff members on board how to have these conversations the second any type of opportunity, interaction comes up. And when you do that, you'll have people without paying any money that have the ability to generate new leads and prospects just because of everyday conversations. And these conversations can come up at the grocery store, it can come up at the gas station, it can come up at Starbucks, it can come up at the movies, it can come up in the business center, it could come up at a networking event. Like, people have to know how to communicate and move people from not knowing who you are and not caring to all of a sudden, you know what, I'm curious, how does this work? Let's schedule a discovery call. Okay. And then from there, you close them in. So direct outreach method is everything. Number two, I tell people you need to be using events. Events are everything. Like offline, is the new online. Everyone's so concerned about how do I get a loan? How do I do ads? And how do I spend money? And how do I do this? And how do I do that? And most people end up like getting paralyzed because of this whole technology thing that goes on. But you know what everyone misses the boat with? Everyone misses the boat with? Yo, I can go to a networking event tonight. I can pull up Eventbrite. I can pull up Meetup. I can go to a networking event that has 50, 100, 200 people tonight. And if I know how to do my elevator pitch, I can talk to 20 people inside of 2 hours and leave with 5 or 10 appointments for tomorrow.
Beautiful.
At one event. And how you take that to the next level, and this is all free, by the way, right? Free marketing. You can actually work on how do I get an opportunity to speak at some of these events that are organized with people that I'm building a relationship with. See, the number one person I actually develop a relationship with when I go to a new networking event is always the organizer. Who's the host of the event? That's what I ask. Who organized this event? Who's the host? What it is that I'm offering. And you won't even have to tell people you're credible. If you have your 1 or 2 minute your elevator pitch down, people will just feel this is an authority leader with what it is that they do. Okay. So all of a sudden you go and you meet the most important person at that event, the host or the organizer. You come back, you bring some people, you come back, you bring some people. They know that you're an authority figure. You built a relationship. After the third or fourth time, you could say, hey, listen, have you ever had a speaker talk to any of these people? Right? If you want, I can come and I can give 3 tips on how to do this. And I could talk for just 5 minutes. I could talk for just 7 minutes.
That's awesome.
Now, what happens when you're in front of a group with 100 people, 50 people, 200 people, and you go ahead and you do a talk giving 3 tips on how to avoid this problem because you know who your customer is and offer them this solution. And you're saying, here, I'm going to give you the ideas. I'm going to give you the tips. I'm going to give you the strategy. I'm going to take 5, 7, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. You as a speaker are now put in a position to be an authority figure in front of that whole room. Outside of the host or organizer of that meeting, you are now the most important person in that room. Yeah. How easy do you think it's going to be able to generate new leads for whatever it is you're trying to offer?
Absolutely.
Right?
Simple, yeah.
100%. Okay? Offline's the new online. Sorry, what?
They'll come up to you.
They'll come up to you. Yeah. And you have people saying, I need the answer. I need the answer. How can you help me? Yeah. Right? And we've witnessed this because we've spoken on stages together and we've spoken in front of hundreds of people. You remember that? And every single time you spoke when we were doing our events and we would have 200, 500, 700 people, 1,000 people, and you would speak, what would happen at the end of your talk every single time?
People were signing up, baby.
People were signing up. People were coming to you. They say, I want to work with that guy because he's the authority leader.
They were
this
signing
is
up
the
with
expert.
the person that brought them.
That's right.
They plugged in with the person that brought them. They saw value in what the person they brought them in to see, and they signed up.
That's right.
They got involved.
That's right. Exactly.
They did business with us. It was great.
Boom. 100%. All right, now let me get into number 3 with the marketing, right? With the prospects. But you're right. And everyone wanted to come talk to you, even if they weren't signing up as your customer or teammate. Correct. They still wanted to get your advice. Yes. Why did they want your advice?
Else, exactly.
On something else. Why did they want to get your them. Yeah, because you just built your credibility up.
Correct.
Right? So anyways, number 3, the next thing is the internet. And I always tell people, master the offline game before you spend time trying to study totally different technological skills and all that stuff to master the online game. Master the offline because there's no competition. I go in, I build relationships, there's no competition. And if you know what you're talking about, and I don't care if it's cars, I don't care if it's real estate, I don't care if it's clothing, I don't care if you're a fashion expert, I don't care if you're a podcast host, I don't care if you're teaching people to surf. If you know what you're good at and you know you could offer people value, you need to go and you need to work on that pitch. You need to align yourself with the most powerful people at those events, and you need to find a way that you can contribute. Speak for free, right? Just do it. So anyways, internet, what are you doing? You're taking all the information you got from all the content that you're sharing on podcasts and on live events. You're going to take that, you're going to chop it up and repurpose it and put it online. When you show people online that you are seen as a respected authority figure offline, people will look at you and say, oh my gosh, how can I get your guidance? How can I get your expertise? How can I get your opinion? How can I pay you for your time? But you got to do it over and over and over again. Use the internet to demonstrate what you're doing in the real world. Okay. Good. So those are 3 out of just the 10 marketing methods. The first 3 are free. Other ones are paid and they'll take more time. But like, man, if you have a strategy around all 3 of these things, you can already use that to add 6, even 7 figures to your company if you could just maximize on those 3 things that I shared. That's prospects and promotions.
Hit 7 before we.
The last one is profits. So that one's simple. The number 2 reason that people actually have their businesses fail is because they failed to properly manage finances. Okay. Number one reason companies go out of business because they failed to get a customer. We just solved that with prospects and promotion. But the number two reason, they mismanaged finances, right? And so you need to have a plan. How are you going to set up a budget so that you set money aside and take care of the most important things first? It's one of the reasons why you need a turtle on your team. The turtle will help you out with that. The turtle and the owl together will come up with a strategy for how you could remain permanently profitable. Okay. And most people, just as we wrap up, have that HOTS team.
I'm gonna look that up.
You got to look that up, right? So what happens is most people will end up having their revenue that comes in, then they take care of all their expenses, and then they keep whatever's left over. That's called profitability, right? But the most successful businesses have revenue that comes in, they take out profitability first. You got to pay yourself first. Yes. You got to make sure your staff are taken 100%. Care of first. You got to make sure that emergency fund is taken care of first. Yes. And then whatever's left over, that's what you use on expenses. But this is your formula for remaining permanently profitable. And if you can do that, now all of a sudden use whatever's left over to reinvest back into the business and support all these processes, systems, ideas that you have, you're going to run away with it, man.
The 7 Ps.
7 Ps. Launch, grow, and
Carl
build a great business.
Smith, guys.
That's right, man.
Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks so much.
I appreciate you so much, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Great episode. Part 2. You guys can check out part 1 and then come and watch this episode because it's been an amazing time with Mr. Karl Smith. I'm sure we'll get him back on here again, guys. Thank you for sharing time with us, Karl. Thank you guys for watching. Shoot us over any questions, any advice, anything you guys want me to bring on, anybody that you want me to, any type of business, any type of industry, let me know. Shoot me over emails, shoot me over comments. Let's get in touch. I'm glad to have you guys. I love all of you. God bless you, and we'll see you here again on Randy Starts a Side Hustle. Have a great night, guys. Peace.
Take care.